Hey, I got a present for you.
What?
I brought you a Yoda. You're welcome.
No, I don't want a Yoda.
I'm so sorry. That actually worked.
So catch me up. So what were they all talking about? You said people were talking about having to treat your streaming like a real business.
So yeah, the Twitch affiliate, which is the lowest tier of contractor you can be with Twitch, basically, started trending the other day. Some company tweeted about it, and then it just started a kind of conversation where I saw a lot of the tweets and the comments were related to like how you don't need a stream coach. What you should invest in or learn about is actual business things, marketing, and so
Yeah.
on. I'm
Yeah.
like, that
Oh, that's great.
sounds almost exactly what we've been trying to talk about for ages now. But no, so generally, there's not a whole lot of stream coaches, but it became kind of a controversial topic because several of them, or some of them, they would charge relatively high amounts
Yeah. Okay.
for what seemed to be relatively little gain. They try to give you a path to
I
becoming a
mean, a
Twitch
Twitch
partner or
partner.
being,
Yeah.
successful on Twitch.
Now, in Twitch gives you a certain amount of like proceeds from their ads and whatnot. Is that how that works there?
Yeah, so you get
All right.
a kickback from ads. You also get to split the subscription money, right? So like as an
Mm-hmm.
affiliate, you don't really have any negotiating power. So you get a 50-50 split. As a partner, you depending on your size, you do get a little bit more negotiating power, and you can try and negotiate with them to get more. There's plenty of streamers that had the 60-40 or a 70-30, or there's been a few that had like even an 80-20.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, but you have to be massive to get to those. The more you actually sit and think about it, the more you should just treat it like any standard small business. And I think the streamers that
Yeah.
have become really successful have done that.
Yeah, well, I think what people don't realize is that like business is really about understanding what your clients want and providing that to them.
Right.
You know, who do you like to serve, and what are they looking for?
Which I think
And go ahead.
that right there is a great point, because the one of the big things on for streamers is, oh, this game is popular right now. I
Right.
will stream it because it has viewers. This is what the people want to see right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone plays a game and they got a higher viewership for it, then they'll stick with that game if they can, maintain that viewership. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that falls right into it.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing to think that way in terms of if it's a popular game and that's what people want to watch.
Yeah, and
But
I think if you're, I really think that this might be the kind of the defining thing for me here is what's the goal with it? Like, if your goal is to just become a successful content creator, right? Then
Mhm.
treating it like that 100%.
Well, but similarly too, like what are they doing in terms of even marketing their stream? And I think that I mean, is that maybe part of it too, where people kind of just expect it to just become popular on Twitch and don't necessarily think about, hey, I've got to figure out how to market this business. Where else are my viewers at? I always talk about it in terms of like, okay, you need to figure out. Well, first, it's what's in their heads and their hearts, and that's where we talk about, what are their hot buttons? What do they want?
Did
And
we win?
we
Sorry.
won. They
Not to
won
interrupt
victory.
you, but we actually won one.
But so what do they want? What are they looking for? If you're thinking about traditional business, like, okay, what's a problem in their life that you're trying to solve? And at the end of the day, I mean, you're trying to do entertainment, right?
Yep.
But I mean, for a lot of folks, they want to see somebody that they can either like idolize or maybe kind of identify with, or I think my light just went out.
I believe it did just go out.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you hit on a big point there, though, is that where a content creator is an entertainer or
Yeah.
an educator. Those are the two
Yeah. And educated.
big
Be good.
things.
Well, at least for the streamers, I think they're trying to do it in an entertaining way as well.
Yeah. Are you good? Did you break everything?
Oh, my screen is off. Sorry about that. Yeah, so apparently I kind of daisy chained. I know you're not supposed to do this, but I daisy chained a couple of power strips and I accidentally the one that's on the floor. I guess I somehow kicked or something and turned it off. I don't know
So
how I did that, but
it's
yes.
weird. That actually kind of falls into something I've been thinking about recently. Is that and it's kind of along the topic of what we're talking about, so I'm just gonna touch on it real quick. Is that the crisis management? A big thing I see a lot of streamers suffer from the inability to handle little things. Every
Yeah.
day when you stream, there's always technical difficulties. There's always something usually that gets in the way. But like that's the same with pretty much anything you do, right? That's just part of it of being a quote unquote business owner. There's going to be
Yeah.
issues constantly.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, and one thing that you have to really talk about is like mindset. I mean, to be a business owner, I mean, one of the key things that you have to overcome if you're going to really be able to grow and take it to higher levels is that mindset of being able to handle, yeah, a crisis or any sort of difficulty. Because I mean, actually, there's a great video. And I'm blaming on who's the author on it necessarily, or the creator, I guess. But it's like a TED talk, and it's about the gaming mindset and how it can actually be really great in general for personal growth. I actually played
Yeah.
it.
Was that the
It's
one?
called the Mario Effect, is what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I did
Share
watch that
with
one.
you? Yeah, yeah. So he talks about. So look it up on Google. Look up the Mario Effect. It's like a TED talk. And what he talks about is like when he was a kid, he played Mario. Of course, the goal is to get the princess, to save the princess. But as you begin to play, you start getting running into the Goombas and dying, and you're falling into the pits and dying. And but each time you play, you learn what you need to do differently next time, so you don't have the same problem,
Yeah.
so you can get past that obstacle. I love how he kind of wraps it up is that your goal is the princess, but you can get stuck getting all worried and sad that you keep falling into a pit, or you learn that you just got to jump a little bit earlier, a little bit later, or you're supposed to jump on a block above the pit to get over it, or maybe even skip it by going into one of the other worlds or whatever. But you can either focus in life on the princess and what your ultimate goal is and how you're going to learn from each mistake and each obstacle to get better and to achieve your goal, or you're going to focus on the pit and just give up, saying well, I had a problem, I had an obstacle, and it's just too hard. I don't feel like dealing with it.
Right.
So I'm just gonna kind of stay where I am in life, as opposed to getting to that next level. So I mean, I really love that. It's a great analogy. And holy cow, stormtroopers! Well, but the funny thing is like that's what it is to be able to get better in the gaming world. But does that necessarily always transfer? Or do we really think about how that should transfer to real life?
I think a lot of people will confuse stubbornness with the growth that can come from that mindset. It's
Yeah,
one
or
thing to be
persistent.
stubborn and not give up, but if you're not actually learning from what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can stubbornly keep banging your head on the wall. Like, I mean, let's say. I mean, I think the difference between like being stubborn and persistent, I think, is that stubborn is like you're basically doing the exact same thing over and over again, waiting for the world to change around
Right.
you. Whereas being persistent, which is I think the real skill to have, is that you still go after your goals consistently, day by day, but you're learning from your mistakes on how to do it better. So
Yep.
you're adapting to what the world. You're adapting to the world and what you need to do to be able to overcome and get get to that next level where you want to be. Quit trying to wait for the world to change around you and adapt and overcome. And if there is a change in the world that you want to see, though, I mean, because I know a lot of people in this gaming space are very much activists, then I mean, you literally have to be that change. I mean, it's not a cliche. Like you have to go out there and live it. You have to improve your ability to influence and your leadership skills, which again goes back to like kind of in business skills. Leadership is a big thing that people talk about. I mean, it's a big thing that I teach on. Leadership is about influence, and communication is about influence, and those skills are the most
Wow,
critical.
that also lines up 100% with content creators.
Yeah, I mean, your point
Imagine
is
that.
Yeah, communication is an influence. They call them influencers, right?
Yeah,
Well,
kind of.
I recommend that everybody get this book. I pretty much start all my clients out with this book. It's called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, and it's by John Maxwell. And what I love about it is that so many people think that communication is just about I got to get my message out, and that's not necessarily wrong. But you have to consider who you're trying to get your message to and where they're at. Because if you don't connect with them where they're at, they're not going to be ready for your message. They're not going to hear it. They're going to be focusing on their lives. If you don't understand why their message is important for them and how to communicate that to them to help them better understand how it might benefit them in some way, then again, I mean, you're kind of being selfish with it, right? Like you're not helping them to see why they should be paying attention to you. Why should they be watching your stream? Why should they be listening to your thoughts about the things that you care about? But yeah, I mean, you're supposed to be influencers, but I had a friend who was very staunch in his beliefs, and I
Is that
shared some
friend
of his.
me? Are you talking to me? Talking about me at the moment? Is that where? I just want to make
Let's
sure.
let's not make this awkward.
Oh,
All right,
okay. All right,
let's
go
not make
ahead.
this awkward. So he was very staunch in his beliefs, but like to the point of being kind of hateful about it. Like he just
You
kind
are
of felt like
talking about me. Yep,
well,
yep,
again, don't make this awkward, man.
yep.
So he would get in people's face. He would call people stupid who believed in something different than him, and I mean, a lot of people do think that way, but it's you're never going to really convince somebody that way. You have to first
Right.
start on finding that common ground, like and where are they at and what's in it for them. So it's different between going and saying, hey, I think that people are terrible people because they litter and they're not taking care of the world and they drive gas guzzlers, versus trying to figure out, like, okay, so who's your audience and why does it benefit them? So saying, hey, gas guzzlers kill your budget. If you drove a more efficient car, then you'd have more money for going out with the family, save money for vacation, save money for retirement, and all that stuff. Why should you not litter? Well, it's kind of gross when you're driving down the road and there's junk all over the side of the road, right? So if you like living in a nice area, then you gotta kind of help keep it nice by not littering. Just as an example of how people can get really almost over aggressive, trying to get people to think the way they should think, and they try to put it in their own terms. They're not really trying to understand where the other person's at, and then how do they cater that message to them. If you're talking about like bringing it back into like gaming and what you're doing here, well, you got to understand who do you want your audience to be.
That's a pretty big point, actually. The whole who do you want your audience to be? There's a lot of streamers that build their community and thrive on toxicity, right? They will be
Yeah,
rude, aggressive, abrasive, and they will build a community around that. And then
right.
imagine that your community is also toxic, abrasive, and that.
Yeah.
There's
And
also a lot of
go ahead.
people are afraid to curate that, though, right?
Mhm.
They know what they want, but they're like they feel like they're a smaller content creator, that they can't make the decision to cut people out, even though, and I'm gonna go to something we haven't even talked about yet, but like or like I think we might have mentioned it, like who is your actual audience, or who is your customer, if you will. I want to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
right, like
The audience is your customer, exactly.
right, like, so finding the actual customer that you want is about communicating that and then curating that audience.
I think oftentimes where there's kind of a disconnect is that because somebody's watching you, they might not necessarily be paying you. So it's easy to kind of not necessarily think about them as a customer, you know. But at the end of the day, they're a customer just as much as somebody who's paying you, because it's their attention. Attention is one of the most important commodities in this world. I mean, that's why people pay for commercials. That's why people seek entertainment. And now, if you're going after a specific sponsor, then you got to think, okay, who's the audience that they want? And so maybe do a little bit of research about, like, how they market themselves, and you should kind of similarly understand that same audience and try to kind of market yourself in some similar ways.
So we touched on communication a little bit, which is one of those vital, just life skills, but also business skill.
But yeah, I mean, it is critical. Communication, really, the point of communication is ultimately influence.
But 100% what everyone's trying to do here,
Right. Absolutely.
whether they realize it or
And
not.
right, and that's again kind of, I think, one thing. Okay, so I do understand the argument too, where people want to say, well, I just want to be me and I want to be authentic. That's fair, and that's good. I mean, you should be authentic and you should be you. I'm not saying do anything that goes against your value system at all. I mean, you need to understand what your value system is and stick to it. But
Not,
if
uh,
you go ahead.
I was gonna say, not to like completely interrupt that thought, but the idea of being authentic to yourself, maybe, because I know that's definitely something I talk about a lot, but I
Yeah.
think if your goal is to become a successful streamer, then that is the authenticity that you want to stick to. Right? A lot of people are like, no, I don't want to sell out and play this game just because it's popular, or do this thing because it's popular right now and
Yeah.
that'll get me viewers. They're like, no, that's not being me. But maybe you're not being honest with yourself in what you actually want. Not to go all like life coachy, but
There's this whole, yeah. Well, I mean, heck, even the idea of the sellout, like, okay, are you just saying you don't want to be a sellout because that's cool to say you're not going to be a sellout?
right.
Like, what does that even really mean?
It
Like,
is not shameful to pay your bills.
yeah, yeah.
Like the whole,
It,
like, again, the whole point is, well, if that's what your goal is to literally, turn your stream into something that is financially accessible.
yeah. I mean, there's a ton of opportunity for everybody to be able to do that. Get rid of, first of all, just get rid of your head trash about making money off your stuff. I mean, you're doing it. Look, okay, look. Here's what money is. Money is simply an exchange of value. That's all it is.
Mm,
And the one way that we communicate that value is just through money. If you want to take instead, sacks of seeds, or clam shells, and just do kind of the old-fashioned barter and trade system. I mean, that's fine, but the way that the modern world just communicates that value is through money, and that could be through Bitcoin.
I say I do accept
You know,
cryptocurrency around here. If
yeah,
anybody
yeah.
wants to,
But yeah, get rid of the head trash around money. Money is not evil, and it really is the love of money that steers us in the wrong direction.
yeah, inherently nothing is evil. It's the perceived value of those using it.
Well, yeah, it's just how people use it.
Yeah.
I mean, that same dollar that you make can either go towards the causes that you believe in, and basically because you accepted the money for the value that you bring to the marketplace, and then you use that money in the ways that you believe it should be used for the cause that you believe in, or it's going to be used by somebody else who decided that they would accept the exchange of value for their wonderful services of entertainment or whatever, and they had a different belief system than you, so they spent it on something else, and
Dang.
now you've you say that you believe in something, but you didn't put the work in to prove it.
You just straight called out like everybody. Congratulations. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're not making haters, I guess, in your first couple of streams on Twitch, then what are you doing?
Yeah. Good job. You are learning the Twitch lifestyle. Just make drama, because that's how you get popular, apparently.
So, I mean, those are some aspects about business. So, I was saying that you want to understand what's in the heads and the hearts of your audience, and then we were talking a little bit more about marketing as well. Then you got to understand what's in their eye, or where their eyes and their ears are. and that's sure on Twitch, but how else can you connect with your audience? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Alignable? Are they, where there's all sorts of places they could be.
Right.
And
I
you just gotta,
feel like a lot of the big thing for a lot of small businesses is like Facebook ads, right? You run a Facebook ad. A lot of it's geared towards local businesses, but I've seen this. Like, why don't streamers, content creators, put up a Facebook ad for their stream?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
there's been a couple that have done it, and there's like this weird stigma against it for some things. But like, again, if your whole goal is to build an audience of this particular minded person, just like you said, like what is the message that resonates with them? Why wouldn't you try to meet them where they're at, like you're saying?
And maybe that's a fear, like maybe you don't know what your message is, like I would say even take some time to sit down and create your mission and your vision statement.
Now, for anyone that's not familiar with what that means, can you define that?
No.
All right, fantastic. Good talk. We'll see you next week, guys.
See you next week. Go
We'll have a
Google
new
it.
guest. We'll have a new guest, one that answers questions. Ha ha ha.
How passive aggressive is it when you're like, just go Google it?
Well, that's pretty passive aggressive.
So basically, I mean, you need to really understand like what your goals are for yourself, for your business, for your stream, and really figure out what your driving force is. A vision to me is about like looking into the future. Like it's about, okay, if you achieved your mission and had the impact on the world that you wanted to have, what would the world look like? And writing that down, really defining it as much as you can, being as descriptive as much as possible. And then your mission is really, what is it that drives you, today. And sorry,
No, you're good. You're good.
did, is this normal where you get distracted in the middle of talking while you're video gaming?
For those of us that are bad at multitasking, yes. There are some people that can hold up very good conversations while doing high level gameplay, and it drives me nuts. So impressive.
Yeah.
All right, so mission and vision. I'll give you an example of some of the most common kind of goals or self descriptions I see from streamers. The one, or the main one is, I am a variety streamer. I play lots of different games, and I'm here to become a Twitch partner.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's nice and vague. It's better than nothing, I guess I'll say. And it's good that they kind of, started somewhere. But I mean, really, like, what is the impact that you want to have on the world? I mean, what is the impact that you want to have on your audience? I mean, sure, you want to entertain them and have, help them have fun, but I mean, and that's not wrong. So, I think if you're struggling with it, maybe you don't really have a good understanding of like, I mean, really what your values are and what you're really trying to change in the world. Like, I mean, everybody sees things in the world that they don't like, right? That they
Right.
want to see improve. So take some time and write out, what are your main values? What are things in this world that you wish were different? What would you like to see changed? And put some time into thinking about like, okay, so how are you gonna affect that change? I mean, sure, you can sit here and play video games and entertain, but I mean, there's certain things that you stand for. You can talk about those things.
I mean, you really just described exactly probably one of the biggest steps that anybody could do, though. Once you've done that, then you just begin to curate your audience around that, and then all of a sudden you have a huge group of like-minded people that share your values that then want to give you their attention.
Absolutely, yeah.
Done, right? That's, I mean, obviously very simplified and shortened, but
But I mean, it'll bring you a lot more clarity why you're doing what you're doing, and it'll bring you some more passion. Because I mean, we were talking before about how there's obstacles every day. There's tech obstacles, there's personal obstacles, there's motivational obstacles, and I mean, there's just a million things that can make it difficult to keep doing what you're passionate about. But when you can define your mission in life, that driving force, what you're trying to do on a daily basis, and you can figure out what your vision is and the effect that you want to have on the world, things that you want to see changed, it can be a driving force when the times get tough. I When talking about this kind of stuff, though, there are times in life where folks can kind of get this state of belief that they really can't impact the world, and they might not necessarily really feel like they can influence change. Maybe that they don't necessarily bring much value. And the truth is, everybody's got value, and everybody has an opportunity to influence things. And you might not necessarily create a global impact where everybody knows your name, but just seek to reach who you can by creating that community around you, by reaching out who you can, and you'll start to see it grow a little bit every day.
It's a pretty good point. There's a stat that came out, and I'm gonna completely mess up all the numbers. It was like if you get 6 viewers on your stream, you're actually in the top like 5% of all streams on Twitch. And I think one of the few good things that comes out of some of the Twitch positivity personalities. So there's various streamers that are really good at putting out quote unquote positivity. And one of those things is that even if you've only got one viewer, that one viewer is there because you've convinced them to be there and they enjoy your content.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're making a difference right there where you can.
Right. And that's how everything grows. Step by step. You have to be focused on just those small wins. And sometimes that's just like, hey, I was able to stream for a certain amount of time, or hey, I persevered through the technology problems that I had along the way, or something like that. But by just focusing on those small wins, maybe you got 2 viewers this time instead of 1. But by focusing on those little things, you'll grow your influence, you'll grow your business, if you will, a step at a time. But yeah, there's all sorts of other elements that we can talk about as well in terms of treating your stream like a business.
I say we didn't touch on any like just the technical stuff, knowing
Financial stuff,
your numbers, any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, we can definitely touch upon that in the future, though, more. Talking about if you're doing any sort of marketing.
The answer to that would be no. Very few streamers understand the concept of marketing and what that means. I think
yeah,
kind of like a way to try to go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say, like, even selling merchandise can be a great way to do marketing, but actually make money off of it. Like, again, I think that comes out to that whole sellout thing, right? People are like, oh, I don't want to sell out because I'm making money by selling merchandise, and or you have some sort of head trash around like, oh, why would anybody want to buy my merch?
Yeah.
But again, it kind of goes into this idea of giving your audience what they want. Figure out what they want. If you put it out there that people would buy some shirts, or some gaming pads, or what, whatever, then do it. And then at least that's a good way to kind of start some marketing, kind of down that path, because they'll wear your shirts around, or your hats, or something like that, and other people will see it. It can be kind of maybe your gateway to doing some marketing. But yeah, I would definitely encourage you to think about that. Like, I mean, you could put some of your videos, some of your streams on, like a Facebook ad, or an Instagram ad, or anywhere like that. But again, if you can tie that to kind of like what you're trying to do, what kind of impact that you're making, you can really probably narrow in your targeting as well. Like, okay, so what kind of audience am I trying to draw in? I want people who share these kind of values. Well, like with Facebook marketing, there's a ton of target audience characteristics.
There's so many things.
If you were trying to go towards, I want to do a business or a stream where we talk, or we game while we're talking about business. Well, then, for instance, Facebook ads. Hey, yeah, all right. We could potentially put some out there where people might like, maybe like Damon John, or those folks from Shark Tank. Plus, maybe they like certain big name gamers, or maybe they like certain video games, or I mean, a lot of that stuff we can find in there,
Yep.
and just those ads just go straight to them. We could put a little teaser video in there about, of showing us game a little bit, showing us talking about some of those important topics, cutting some of that content, and it's really going to hit upon, their interest and maybe their hot buttons. So I mean, that's just kind of an example of something you can do. But yeah, we can definitely talk.
Those
Go
are a
ahead.
great example though, because that's what we're doing.
Right, right, right. Well, maybe we should do that.
Maybe we should.
But so yeah, I think that this whole topic around, treating your streaming like a real business is a great one. I mean, if you even think about it, kind of like the difference between, let's say, even an athlete who, you've got athletes who succeed, they have a good name, they've got sponsors, they've got they actually kind of create business empires. You've got those folks
Right.
versus the folks who, they just go out there, they play the game, they get paid millions, they blow through it, and then they've got nothing to show for it later on.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I have that argument with a lot of esports players, right? Yes, you're really good at this game and you're getting good placements in the tournaments, but
Yeah.
where does this go? What are you doing? What is your goal from this? You have this opportunity to continue growing it, to expand from it, market it, and actually like build something out of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have a platform. I mean, it's the same thing as being a popular athlete, right?
It is
I mean,
it's pretty much exactly the same at this point.
in all reality, I've heard people put it this way that, and even people in the NFL or Major League Baseball, it's just millionaires playing a game, right?
Yeah.
You can take your opportunity and your platform and take the momentum that you have now and build something off of that. Build other business empires, other interests. You create your audience, and your audience will follow you because they enjoy you.
Right.
And they'll still stick around for a while. I mean, even if you're not playing esports anymore, a good chunk of them might still stick around and follow you. I mean, people still love Michael Jordan, even though he
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
play basketball. There's still, still value in sponsorships for him, and so
Like
I mean,
I love Shaq, but
yeah,
I've
Shaq,
never once watched him play basketball.
right, right,
So
exactly, exactly. And he's been able to really pay attention to his reputation and still be out there. And I think he's built some businesses as well.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Take what you have, build it up, and then use that to have those bigger influences. But you have to be clear what those other influences are. I think that really helps out a lot. Even if you don't think that you're going to be able to, affect a global change, just build a community around you that has some similar values, some similar ideals, some similar goals, and at least have some influence there. It starts there, and then we'll talk about other business topics in the future whenever we stream.
I'll let you go. I appreciate you coming to join me.
No, I appreciate you inviting me. This is good.
Yeah, no, I'm having
And
fun with this.
yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll see you later.
Peace.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's awkward now.